Hello, and thank you for tuning in to another edition of Paul de Guzman Presents Art. Just want to do a shout out to some new subscribers from Montreal. Thank you so much for considering to subscribe. And I was told that about 80% of people who watch the videos are not subscribers. So it would be great if you can consider subscribing because it actually gives the channel some momentum, and it also gives me some motivation to create some more content for you. And today, I just wanted to say that we are in North Vancouver, in the Lonsdale Key area, in Canada. Where else are we going to be, right? Near Vancouver. Anyway, it's very easy to get here. It's 10 to 15 minute ferry ride from Vancouver. And the reason why we're here is to see the work of, just going to turn around, the public artwork of Rebecca Belmore, which is currently on view outside at the Polygon Gallery on Lonsdale. So because it's outside, you don't really need to go inside the gallery to have a look. There's a couple of works inside the gallery, but unfortunately I was not able to get permission to sort of like go and take the photo. Apparently nobody's in the office today. It's a Friday and it's gonna be a long weekend, so I think a lot of people are actually taking the holidays off. But I'm so glad to have an opportunity to actually have look at this public artwork. So we're just gonna go a little bit closer, and I want you to see how it actually billows. So just a little bit about this project. The Polygon Gallery is a lens-based gallery here in North Vancouver. They often show photographic and film works by local, national, and international artists. So you're probably wondering, why is the work of Rebecca Belmore, a public artwork that is not lens-based, being shown here? Well, I just want to start off by saying that a Vancouver-based gallery called the Burrard Arts Foundation has gone into a collaboration with the Polygon Gallery for a period of 10 years, I believe. And the Burrard Arts Foundation is responsible for curating the public art program for the Polygon. So these are temporary artworks. And in a way, that's a really great way of actually sort of like utilizing outdoor space, because it's a new building, the Polygon. It's a very iconic building here in North Vancouver. And it's nice to sort of like have a look at some work by artists who are actually part of this entire ecosystem, because Rebecca Belmore is a First Nations Anishinaabe artist from Northern Ontario, but for a period of about a few decades, she lived in Vancouver. And it's only recently in the last 10 years that she's been living in Ontario when she moved out there with her partner. She is well known as a performance artist, as well as doing performances, temporary and permanent public art, and also photographic works. So what you're seeing now as it flutters through are they're kind of like shirts or overalls. I think they're overalls, and they're made from tarpaulins. And each one, the blue ones are actually spell the word here, and then the orange ones spell the word after, so it's about hereafter. And it's also quite interesting to note that a lot of these colors, the blue and the orange, signal some form of alerting or uniform, because like orange is pretty much the color used for like the prison system. And a lot of the work that she does tends to sort of like comment on, as well as criticize, the First Nations state of affairs here in Canada. So I'm just going to walk over a little bit to the didactic panel so that we can have a look at it, okay? I don't go to North Vancouver very often. And it's kind of sad that I wasn't able to get permission to sort of film the other works inside, but that's okay. You know, you go with the flow, right? So Rebecca Belmore, this is the didactic panel there called Hacer Memoria. And from what I've read, Hacer Memoria came from a speech that the Pope gave recently, actually, apologizing for the atrocities that the Roman Catholic Church did on the First Nations people here in Canada. You know, most notably here in British Columbia, because in British Columbia there were some graveyards of children that were discovered very near the residential schools, and this entire incident started about 100 years ago and was abolished only in the 1990s. So the entire sense of remorse, the entire sense of sadness and the mourning hasn't really begun. And so a lot of the work that Rebecca does tend to sort of like look at this from a lens of a First Nation survivor. So we're just gonna go back. I just want to sort of like have a look at the works from a different standpoint. So like I said, they're made of tarpaulins. And tarpaulins usually have like a life of about 2 or 3 years and they start disintegrating. And you can see that some of the orange ones are actually sort of like fading in different, they're fading in different, at different stages. The blues are a little bit more, stable, I think. I'm not sure whether that's the pigment, but there's a certain poignancy about it, especially when you're sort of like looking at the shoreline over to the left. Here, I'm just going to show you the shoreline over there, okay? So that's the shoreline of Vancouver. And of course, there's this really wonderful coastal breeze that comes through, and it imbues these pieces with life because they're like fluttering in the wind. And that's one of the main things about this, main traits about this work is that it's meant to be alive. It's meant to be activated by nature, and it's also activated by a lot of the kids that are playing here, because like in front of the polygon is this like water park, which I didn't see during the winter time, of course, but because it's about 25 degrees outside, it's a really nice engagement. There's a certain engagement with children, because like the water park is very popular with children. And just to sort of juxtapose that with what's happened with the residential schools, it's run mostly by the Catholic Church, and a lot of people that were I guess we can call it incarcerated. Well, not really incarcerated, but it's almost like a prison for indoctrinating First Nations children into society, into Canadian society, by sort of like having a system of sort of making them forget who they are. They were not even permitted to speak their own language. They were punished if they were actually speaking their language. So it's there's a certain sense of poignancy with these works, with the advent of the residential school discoveries and the children playing in this at the facade of this in front of the Polygon Gallery. So I'm gonna leave it at that for now, because I think it's a work that's gonna be, the work is gonna be here for a few months. It might actually be here for an entire year, because the Burrard Arts Foundation is curating the shows for 10 years, and this work by Rebecca Belmore called Hacer Memoria is the 5th in the series of 10 installations. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you lasted this long, you obviously like it, so click the thumbs up button. And I would also like you to consider subscribing to the channel. It won't cost you any money, it's just, but it just gives me some motivation to actually create more content like this. So on that note, I just want to wish you a wonderful day and hope you enjoy your day, and I am out of here. Thank you and have a great day.